Okay, so video number 2 of today's topic that I'm yapping about. Go back and watch number 1. It will be in the playlist about far-seeing people. I'm doing an extended series. I'm not going to go back through it, but I'm doing an extended series on far-seeing people of across the spectrum. Started on Kim Clement. Still, that's an ongoing conversation that I'll be having. You can find it on YouTube, probably be easier. And you can also find it on playlist on this app. So back to what I was talking about. Christians are just transactionalists. People ask me, why are you so hard on Christians? It's because that's the faith tradition that I was raised in. It's been a great deal of time studying it. Although I've studied every Abrahamic religion, I want to stick with Christianity because I think, especially here in the United States and even in just the Western world, it is something that must be deconstructed. It must be dealt with because the poison that is in it, along with its sister religions and the Abrahamic traditions, it's got to be dealt with because we see from generation to generation the same poison, the same trash, the same trauma, the same nonsense being pushed forward. And because people aren't willing to deal with that, you can't really get anywhere with ameliorating Christianity as a belief system. Instead, because Christianity is such clay, it really is dependent on whoever's church you're sitting in and which ideologue you're listening to. The one of the 40,000 plus isms that are growing that you're gonna believe in. And each one of those cults, you're being told, this is the way. This is our God. And as I told you in my series, Hain't You My God? You can find the series on YouTube really easy. It's in a playlist. It's in the Sinners playlist. And on this app, you can just search for it. But Christians aren't even aware, like they're not self-aware. Not all Christians. There's a lot of Christians on this app who are deconstructing, who are trying to do the work. Thank goodness for you. But for the rest, you see a hodgepodge of toxic soup of people who aren't self-aware. They are not critical thinkers, and their version of critical thinking is to put them in a neural loop that wraps them back around to accepting whatever dogma their belief system requires, right? Just take a look at the Christian nationalist. But whatever. Let's get back to the prophetic. So the video that I started talking about, in which the creator, they just posed the question. So, with the implication, you people who are calling yourselves Christian, adherents of the one, worshipers of the one and true and living God, supposed to be those who are prophetic, who are supposed to be hearing or seeing, in direct line sight directly connected with this God and its spirit. Why are y'all so wrong? Right? I put a little sass on that, little sauce. Go back and watch her video. And I'll attach it to this one too. But she's a valid question. Why are y'all so wrong? Right? Because there's the more complicated response, which is not complicated. Y'all are being you're so error-ridden. This is not every person in the Christian prophetic. I say Christian because it's weird when you're from my perspective. I'll just speak for myself. From my perspective, when you understand that being a far-seeing person, you shouldn't just consider that a gift from God. Like that's a natural capacity that a person has or they don't have, right? I'm not saying, because I think I've argued this before, I'm not saying that a person couldn't get in contact with a source of power, an advanced being, because they exist. An advanced being that helps to give you the capacity to be more far-seeing, hearing, et cetera, et cetera. But my problem, I'll speak for myself, with the prophetic is that you keep thinking that this is from God, which is hilarious from the standpoint, do you even know what you're worshiping? Because, but that's too complicated a discussion here. And if you guys want me to talk more about that, I'll talk more about it. But it really is something that Christians need to come to grips with, especially when they're calling themselves prophetic and they're saying that they are hearing from God. Well, for me, and I'm looking for more people like myself who are able to diagnose people. That's part of what I can do is you can do it just as a pattern recognition person. You can go through, just ask them what they're worshiping, figure out what they're worshiping, and that's what they say that's what they're hearing from. They're likely just hearing from themselves. Literally, Christians don't realize they're worshiping themselves. Christianity and the Abrahamic religions are tailor-made for you to worship yourself. And there's a longer extended discussion that I need to have for you about why in a way, because I think that may confuse some of you, and you may be confused by the fact that I would be saying, if you are hearing from yourself, depending on the self, from the realm out of which, from the dimension, strata, place of being out of which you are hearing, you may just be hearing from your future self, which is co-located, right, in your perfected state. But that's like way too much information, right? I have found some Christian prophets who actually realize this, and they actually... They talk about praying. They call it praying from heaven downward, or, some of them actually understand co-location. But if human beings would start to become more attached to their deductive logic, their critical thinking, their attachment to reality, they will begin to realize more about what I'm trying to introduce on my channel, without like weirding people out or scaring them, because they would understand that human beings are a great deal more complex a being than they've been led to realize. What they are sitting in right now, it are a series of systems that are meant to just keep you in a constant exploitation and slavery. And there is the kind of slavery that comes from economic, it comes from empire, religion, all of that stuff is a part of a greater framework that has humanity in a chokehold. And it has them thinking that having a poor character, being evil, is good, because being evil, one, it has a chance of giving you a long life. I have to do a video on this, because I put out a video about human suffering, and then within that video of human suffering, I kind of get at why human suffering exists, and it's because of humans. Because humans are being lied to. They're taught to look at the evil outside of themselves instead of looking at and dealing with the evil inside of themselves. And just look at the cult of current Christianity, and it's like laser focus on managing, using the legal system, government, etc., politics, to manage other people's behaviors rather than being solely focused on their own. When the goal should be, if you want to pull yourself out of the upside down, I've done a series, you can find it on here on YouTube. It's the one with the little card on it that spins. If we want to pull ourselves out of the upside down, you're going to have to address your character. So religion in part was introduced. All these beliefs were introduced, because that's a whole other video too, to kind of talk to you that like humanity is not as alone as it thinks. but that's like way too much for you guys, and it sounds a bit batty. Although some of you believe in evolution, but you don't understand the reality of it.